Python programming, and in today's session we are going to discuss especially about for loop and while loop. Okay, so we will start with this slide in for loop. So let me tell you that what do we mean by actually loop control structures. So loop control structures or loop structures we in general use when we want to execute one statement or more than one statements again and again, okay, more than one times. So for example, if you will write any statement, okay, directly in a program, so it will be executed only once. If you want to execute it more than one times, then you have to use any loop control structures. Loop means it will just repeat that those statements, okay, execution of those statements. So I hope slides are visible to all of you and I am audible also. आप लोगों को slides दिख रही हैं?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So अगर उसमें बात करें कि Python में, in Python we have only two loop structures, okay? So that first one is for loop and second one we can say while loop. So if you will compare it with C or C++, in C or C++ we have do while loop structure also. But in Python we don't have do while, okay? So this point you should make it clear that for and while only two loop structures we have, and for statement is used to iterate over a range of values or a sequence. So when we want to iterate means we want to repeat, okay, anything over a range of values or a sequence. It means if you have a range of values, range means end value of start value and end value if you have, okay, then you will tell that we have few values within this range. For example, if I will tell natural numbers in the range of 1 to 10, then you will include 1 2 3 4 5 6 till 10. So range of values means you will tell a start number and final number, you can say, and in between you have to tell that what jump you have to take. For example, you are going to take jump of 1, or you are going to increment the values by 1, or you are going to jump by 2. So like that you have to tell if you are talking about range of values. So in Python we use this for loop whenever you have a sequence. Sequence means like you have 2 4 6 8 10, so these type of numbers, there is some sequence in that, okay. And even sequence means simply we can say a collection of values, okay, that may be in terms of numbers, or that may be in terms of character also. So it will depend on the sequence, but sequence means or range of values means you want to execute a statement for a number of values, okay. So the for loop is executed for each of the items in the range. So whatever range you will give, so for loop will execute that statement that has been associated with that for loop a number of times and for each item in that range, okay. So for example, if you have values 1 2 3 4 and 5, okay, and what do you want to do, you want to print those values, okay, then what you have to do simply, so let me start. This one is 3.9. In 3.10 we will do. So what we will do, again we will start this Python ideally again, okay. So this one is Python ideally integrated learning environment, development and learning environment, and we will start that ideally. In yesterday's session we have already discussed that how you can install, and I hope you can do this programming thing simultaneously during the session. So if you want to write some program of 2 3 lines, better you get take a new file, and here you can write. For example, if we have a list of numbers, okay, even a list is a different data structure in especially Python, but just for at this point we will take just list as a sequence of numbers, okay, or sequence of values. So what we will get 1 2 3 4 and 5, okay, and we will write it within square brackets. So actually by doing this, actually we are creating a list. Okay, as we haven't discussed list, okay, data type till now in detail, so that's why you can take it like it is a sequence of integer values. For example, if you have one integer value, then how you can write b is equal to 1. If you have 5 values, then you can write like this. Okay, within square brackets you will write. So actually in Python programming, a is 1 2 3 4 5. If you are going to write, it will create a list. So a will be called a list. And what will be the element of list? This 1 2 3 4 5 will be element of that list. So if you want to get the basics of list, let me tell you about the basics of list. For example, if you have b is equal to 1, so what value b will show? 1. And what will be the type of b? What will be the type of b? It will be from class int. Int means integer. But if you are going to write like a is equal to, in square bracket, 1 2 3 4 5, and then in a you will get 1 2 3 4 5, and then we will check type of a. Okay, then you will find that a belongs to the class list. So simply we have to keep in mind at this point of time that if we have one value, then we can take a simple integer float, okay, integer or float. But if we have a sequence of values, or we can say a collection of values that we want to store, then we will take a list. Okay, so even in our daily life also, what do we mean by list? List, when we use that word list, for example, if you are going to going for shopping, so what you prepare, actually you prepare a shopping list of items that you want to purchase. Okay, that will be your shopping list. So list will contain items that you want to purchase. So similarly, if you want to store few values, more than one values, then it is better that you create a list. Okay, and what will be the syntax to create a list in Python? Okay, I'm not going to detail all the discuss all the things about list here. First we will discuss for loop and while loop. But for for loop and while loop, before that we are going to discuss the basics of list. Okay, because for loop in general we apply on list or any sequence. So just for example, we are taking list. So a is a list here, and how we can create a list? Simply we will write the name of that variable or object, then equal to we will write, then in square bracket we will write the elements, okay, with comma. So comma will separate the elements. Okay, so if you will write, for example, if you will write a0 like this, okay, then what you will get? 1, because this first element will have index 0. Okay, that is something like the concept of array in C or C++. In arrays also, what we have, first element will have index 0, then next element will have index 1. Okay, so indexing will start like that with 0. So, or we can take up, so if you are going to create a list like that, 1, okay, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. So if these are the elements of a list, okay, if you are going to write a is equal to like this, okay, and then comma also we should write. But so simply here we are going to take elements. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5, these are the elements of our list A. So what will be the index number? Let me just tell you that for 1, index number will be 0. Okay, for 2 it will be 1, for 3 it will be 2. So similarly we can write 0 1 2 3 4. So there are further things that we need to know about list, but that we will discuss exclusively when we will be discussing about list. Okay, but the basic concept is list, that if you want to store a number of elements, okay, a number of values, then you can create a list. Okay, and this will be its index number. From left it will start with 0 0 1 2 3 4, like that it will go. and this will be a list, and you will use this square bracket to create any list. So one more thing is that we can create a different type of list, like C is equal to 1.5 comma 2.5 comma 3.5. Okay, so again this will be a list of these floating point numbers. Okay, so C will be again a list. So in list actually you can store any type of value. Okay, so if you will check the type of C, so what will be the type of C, what we will get as the result? Could anyone respond?
The list.
Of course it should be list. Okay, now there is one more thing that we need to know if we are going to write like this 1 comma 1.5. Okay, so you can see that we can store one integer and second one as a floating point number also in a list. So different type of elements also we can store in a single list. Okay, so if you will print this and then if you will check this type of D, then it is also a list. So that is the flexibility of this data structure, data type, especially list. Okay, that you can store different type of elements in a list. Okay, so I hope you got the basic points about list. Next we will again come to for loop. So if you want to do something for each element of a list, okay, for example if you want to print each element of a list, then what you will do? So for that you can use for loop. Okay, so this is the you can say flow chart. Okay, that how this control will flow. Okay, if you are using a for loop, so first it will initialize the statement and then it will test expression, and then if it is true then it will go for the loop body of the loop, and then again it will go to the test expression. So like that it will go if that test expression is true. Whenever that test expression is false, then you will come out of the loop. So that is in general flow chart of the for loop, but we will try to understand this thing with the help of example. Okay, okay, so before that we are going to discuss the syntax of for loop. So what is the syntax of for loop in Python? So for you will write, then control variable you will write. I will tell you in 1 minute that do we mean by control variable. Then you will write a keyword in. So in is a keyword. Okay, in, and then you will write about sequence. Sequence means name of the list you can use, or items in range you can write. Okay, then colon we will use, and then after that we will write the statements that we want to associate with this for loop. Okay, so this is the syntax. Now let me take an example, then it will be more clear. So what we are going to do, that we will run this program in which what we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, a list. Okay, that contains these values, and we will print the all the elements of this list. Okay, so for that we will do this programming. So what we are going to do, we are going to take a new file, and then we will take a is equal to 10, 20 and 30 and 40 and 50. Okay, so I hope you have no confusion till this line, that a is equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So how many elements we have in this list? How many elements are there?
65 elements, 66, 67.
Okay, so we have 5 elements, clearly 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And what we want to do in this program, we want to print all these elements, okay, of this list A. So we have already discussed that like that we can create a list. So this is a list, name of the list is A, and what we have in this list 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. These 5 elements we have in this list A. Now if we want to print, okay, so for printing what we have to write for, okay, what we can call each element. For example, for each element we can call element. Okay, for element, and where this element will be in. So in is a keyword. Okay, so for and in are keyword. Element we just use from our side. In which list? So list name is A here, and then after that we will put colon, and then in next line with some indentation, you can see that we have some indentation, some margin you have to put, space you have to put, and then after that you will write print. So print is a function. Whatever you will write within these parentheses, it will print on your display unit. So what we want to print? So if we will write element, so what do we mean by element actually? So element will represent each element or each value of this list. Okay, so that we can use that representation or that name element. We can use any other name also. We can write simply E also. So that is Python's headache, that it will just analyze that what do we mean by element in a list. Okay, or what do we mean by E in a list. So of course it will print all the values one by one. So like that we can write. Now we will save this file first. As I told you that in script mode, first we have to save this file. So save as, and for example in desktop, if we are going to save, and we will write for loop, and then we will save this, and then we will run this one. So what you are getting as output 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So I hope you got this simplest program of for loop. Okay, but we have to learn few more things. Okay, regarding for loop in Python programming. Okay, so this is the simplest program of for loop in Python. Okay, now let me tell you few things, few variants. Okay, like if we are going to write for E in A is the name of the list. Okay, in that we have these values, that's fine, but what is E actually? So if you will write E, so it will again print that elements. Okay, so that is the beauty of Python, you can say, that it will automatically analyze that what do we mean by E or element in A, because A is a list. So of course we want to represent this all the values one by one. Okay, with the help of this E. So simply if you will write like this also, then this will also work again. Okay, so that is not an headache that you have to write A0, A1. Okay, like that you will represent with any name, and you will write this print E, so it will work for, okay, especially in Python. So next we will take another example for loop. Like we want to get only even numbers. I hope all of you know that what are even numbers and odd numbers. Numbers divisible by 2 are even numbers, and numbers divisible by 3 are, could anyone respond?
Odd number.
Odd numbers. So what I asked, that numbers divisible by 2 are even numbers, and numbers divisible by 3 are, numbers divisible by 3 are, so this was a trap actually. Simply numbers divisible by 2 are even numbers, and numbers not divisible by 2 are odd numbers. Okay, but in general if we ask that numbers divisible by 2 are even and numbers divisible by 3, then most of the students tell this odd number. Okay, so this was a trap. Okay, just we will come to this program, that if we have a list of numbers from 1 to 10, okay, and we want to print only even numbers, then what we have to do? So we have program for this. So program to print even numbers in a given sequence using for loop. So what we will do for this, that this program we will try to write here. So we will take this one as 10, 20, 30. So we will change this to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we will write 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, and then 10. So we have this list, okay, where elements are these natural numbers 1 to 10. Now what we want to do, we want to print only even numbers. So what we will do, So for E in A, just we will put if structure like that. So if A is A and modulo 2. So let me tell you about modulo 2. What do we mean by modulo operator? Actually, in modulo means it will just calculate the remainder. Okay. And if that remainder is 0, it means that number is divisible by 2. Okay. So this modulo operator will calculate remainder. So what we will do? A percent 2. Okay, so we will write like that, and that we will check with equal to 0. Okay, with equal to 0. So this thing we have to write, and then colon we have to keep. Why we are writing colon? Because for if also we need to put a colon. Then for if also we have to put a tab, because within for loop you are writing this if. Okay, and within if you are writing this print E. Okay, so first of all, for each E in A, it will check that if E is divisible by 2, then only it will print E. Okay, then only it will print E. Okay, so now the only even numbers will be printed. Now only even numbers will be printed. So let me run this one. Okay, let me run this one. So we have one thing more, that we have to put this thing like that. So E percent 2 then equal to 0. So why we are using double equal to? Because double equal to will tell Python interpreter that you have to check. Okay, Python has to check, Python interpreter has to check that whether this E percent 2 or E modulo 2 is 0 or not. Okay, if you will write E modulo 2 is equal to 0, even that will be an error actually. But single equal to we use to assign a value, and double equal to we use as a logical expression that check this is equal to 0 or equal to some value or not. Okay, so it will be it will result in true or false. Okay, so we have to write any logical condition, okay, which will result in true or false after if. So that's why we are writing like this. So let me run this program. So what we are getting? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Only even numbers, okay, have been printed. So I hope you got this point. Now, next we will go to learn about a different function, okay, a new function, that is range function. That is range function, okay. And then we will learn that how this range function we can use with for loop. Okay, then only the concept of for loop will be complete, okay, in Python programming. So next we are going to learn about range function, and then we will learn that how we can use this range function with for loop. Okay, so let me tell you very clearly that for loop is a different concept, range is simply a function. Okay, but in general in Python, in most of the situations, we can use efficiently this range function with for loop. Okay, so range function is a different concept. It is simply a function, and for loop is a control structure. But in general, for most of the problems, we use for loop and range functions. Okay, uh, all together. So that's why first we will learn about range function, and then we will learn that how range function can be used with for loop. Okay, so next we are going to talk about range function. So this is the basic syntax of range function. So range we will write, then start, comma, stop, and comma, step. So what do we mean by start, stop, and step? So start means from where you are going to start your values. Stop means where you are going to stop your values. Step means what increment or decrement you are going to take for your values from start to stop. So better it will be if we will take an example, like if we have okay Python 3.10. So if we are going to write like this, range 1, comma 10, comma 1. Okay, so how we will write? Range 1 comma 10 comma 1. So what do we mean by that? Range is a function, that is a keyword in Python. In parentheses, in a small bracket, round brackets, we will write 1. 1 means we want to start our values from 1. Then we have written 10. 10 means 10 is a stop values. It means on 10 we will stop our values sequence. Okay, comma 1. 1 means it will jump. Okay, one by one. Okay, all the increment will be plus 1. So if you will write like this, then what you will get? Range 1 comma 10. That's fine. Or we can write like that also. Range for 1 we don't need to write actually. So 1 comma 10 also we can write that. So range 1 comma 10. Okay, let me check this thing. Okay, so we should write like this thing. So we want to create a list type of thing for that. So we will write next range and 1 comma 10. Okay. So then only you will get this 1 to 9. So now let me tell you that what we are getting actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is missing. So that we have to keep in mind that whatever you will write 10, so it will go till n minus 1. If you will write n, then it will go till n minus 1. Okay. So, and why we use actually list? List is a function. Okay, that's why this range 1 to 10, these numbers will be created as a list. That's why we use this. But it may be possible in any other editor you will get directly values for this range 1 to 10. Okay, you don't need to write this list, but in Python ideally we have to write like this. So I hope now you got the point that how we can use this range function. Okay, so now if we want to use, let me take another example, that we want to use this for even numbers. Okay, so we will start our even numbers from 2 and then we will go till 20. So for 20 we will take till 21 and then we will take a jump or step of 2. Okay, so then it will create all the even numbers from 2 to 20. Why? Because we are writing like that. So this list function, as I told you, that list function is just to create all these numbers as a list. That's why we wrote this list. Okay, and in within brackets we wrote range. So let me tell you about this range function. That range, from where we are going to start, from 2. So it is started from 2, but what will be the step? Step is again 2. It means increment will be 2. So 2 plus 2, 4 plus 2, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So after that 20, it will go till 21. But 21 is not, okay, will not come in this list because we are jumping from with 2. So it will go to 22. So 22 will not come and it will stop at 20. Okay, so now let me tell you that if you will write 22, then also you will get the same result. If you will write 2 comma 22 as a stop value, then also you will get the numbers or even numbers till 20.
Because it's a two step, that's why.
That's why. So the basic thing that you have to keep in mind, that start value is okay, it will start with this value, and step value is okay, so it will increment or decrement with this value. But for stop, actually it will go to the numbers that is just one less than. Okay, one step ahead or one step back, it will stop the process. Okay, that is the point. So now let me ask one thing, that if we want to print numbers like that, so we want to print the table of 3, then how we should write? Range, then we should start with 3, and then what we should write? We should write 30 or 31. table of 3. So table of 3, it means we want to print 3, 6, 9 till 30. So we will write, okay, here as stop value as 31. Okay, and then we will write, because for table of 3, increment will be 3. And then we will write this. So you will get that table of 3. One more thing about range that we should know, that we can use step values as negative also. So if you want to get the numbers in descending order, for example, if we have value like 10, and then we can go till 0, okay, and we can use this one as -1 also. So it will create a list of numbers, okay, from 10 to 0. 0 means it will stop at 1 actually, okay. So one step before it will stop, and that increment or decrement, so step value is -1, so it will decrement the values, okay. So let me show you that it will create a list from 10 to 1, okay. So I hope you got this point, that we can use this step value as negative also, okay. Negative values can be used as a step in range. One more thing is that if you are going to write simply, because we have to use list here, so range, and then we will write 1 comma, for example 20, and if we are not going to write this step value, then what will be the result, then what will be the step value? So if you are not going to specify that step value, okay, so what is the increment or decrement, if you are not going to write clearly, okay, exclusively in your program or code, then it will take it automatically as 1. See, 1 2 3 4 5 6, so it is automatically taking it as 1, okay. Now let me try that list, then range, and if we are not going to write start value, okay, like it should start from 0 or 1, and directly we are going to write 10, and then if we are going to write like this, okay. So let me check what we are getting, or for 1 we can write clearly that step value is 1, okay. So then we will see that it will start from, it is a syntax error, okay. So it is a syntax error. So we will see some points. So I hope you got the basic idea about this range function. Now let me tell you basic things about range function. It is used to create a list that we got. To begin with, simply remember function takes parameter to work on, function range, start, stop, step. Start and step parameters are optional. If a start value is not specified by default, the list starts from 0. If a step is also not specified by default, the value increases by 1 in each iteration. So start and step we can skip. All parameters of range function must be integers. So the parameters like start, stop and step, whatever you are going to put, these values should be integers, okay. The step parameter can be positive or a negative integer excluding 0. So we can use positive number or negative integer for step, okay. So what I was telling you actually, that for this start value we can skip this start value, okay. We can skip this start value, same as we skipped this step value. But for list, let me try again, that range we will use, let me admit. So again I am going to skip this start value and then I will write 10, then I will write 1, and then I will write syntax error. This is syntax error in Python 3.10, okay. Now let me check in Python 3.9. So let me copy this code there. syntax error. So in Python, so because we are using this list, that may be possible. Just because of that, it is showing error. But let me check into Colab. Okay. Now let me check into Colab this thing. Just give me 1 minute. New notebook. And here we will write, because as per the concepts we can skip start value also, but it will depend on editor, that which editor you are using. If you are using Jupyter, you can try. So first we will try for range 1 comma 10, what we are getting. So we will check this one. Okay, range 1 comma 10. So what we will write, list 1 to 9. Then if we will skip this thing, then what we are getting, we are getting error. So I will resolve this thing, that how we can get the proper value even if we are going to skip this start value also. So we can skip start value, and if we will skip start value, then it will start with 0. Okay, so you can go through this point. If a start and step parameters are optional, if a start value is not specified, by default the list starts from 0. Okay, so that I will recheck that thing. That may be possible in some other editor, it will be following, but in Ideally and Colab we don't do like that. So we will go for other things, like default step value is 1, that's fine, and step value we can put -1. Those things we have discussed. So now we will go to a program in which we are going to use this, okay, range function with we can say for loop. Okay, so how we can do this? So let me tell you about the program. That program to print the multiples of 10 for numbers in a given range. So we will print the multiples of 10, like 10, 10, 10 1 ja, 10 2 ja, 10 3 ja, 10 4 ja. Okay. So for example, if we want to print first 4 multiples, okay, of 10, then what we can write for num in range 5. So range 5 will represent what? So we will just copy this code and we will try to run this here. Sorry, we have to take a new file for that actually. So we will take a new file and then we will copy this code. So what we are going to do for num in range 5, if num is greater than 0, okay, then we are going to print num into 10. Num into 10 means, so what is num actually? So num in range 5. So what will be the output of range 5? Okay, so what will be the output of range 5? So range 5 will specify the values 1 2 3 4, because if you are using 5 means simply it will go to till 4. So range 5 will produce what? Range 5 will produce actually, so in Notepad or in Paint we can see what we will get for range 5. Okay, so what will be the output of range 5? So range 5 means start value, it will start from 1, and stop value, it will be stop at 4, because 5 is there, it means it will stop at one step before this 5, it means 4, and no step value, it means it will be treated as 1. If no step value is there, it means it is 1. So range 5 will produce a list of numbers that will be simply, range 5 will produce this one, 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. only these four numbers it will present. Okay, so first of all, let me check this thing in so let me check this thing, that what we will get for range 5. Okay, okay, this will be range 0 to 5. Okay, and if we will print is at as range 5. Okay, then what we will get, list range 5. So what do we mean by range 5? Okay, so range 5 as a list, what we can display, that 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, so range 5 will produce these numbers 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, so if you will go to, so as we are using this list function with range, that's why it is producing 0 also. Otherwise in for loop it will create simply 1 2 3 4, it will not include 0. Okay, so what it will do, so let me run this program, then only we can say. So first of all, save, we are going to save as, and this one is for with range, for with range desktop. So range 5, and what we are getting for range 5 actually 0 1 2 3 4. So that we will run, and then we will check 10 20 30 40. So that is the point actually, if you are using this range function with list function, then it will create 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, and whenever you will come to this if function, then what it will do, if num is greater than 0, so range 5 will create, so range 5 means range 5. So in range 5, let me ask that what is a start value? You are writing like that, range 5, it means what is the start value? The start value will be 0. Okay, and what will be the stop value? Stop value will be 5. But as we know that range will go, range function will create elements till a step just backward to this value. Okay, just one step back to this value, so it will go till 4. And if we don't have step value, agar step value aapke paas nahi hai, to it will take it as 1. So 0 1 2 3 4 and 5. So 5 will not come here, and simply you will go to 0 1 2 3 4. So this range 5 will create a list of numbers, we can say this will be created. Okay, even in for loop we are not using list function, we can directly use this range. Okay, here we don't need to write, but in editor if you want to print these numbers, that's why we have to write list. Okay, but in for loop we will directly use this range function, and this range 5 will produce the numbers 0 1 2 3 and 4. After that it will check that if num is greater than 0, so 0 is not greater than 0, so it will be skipped. So if you are not going to write this number or this line, you can say, so if you are going to make this line as a comment line, then what you will get, let me show you. Then you will get 0 10 20 30 40. So now it is clear that actually range 5 will create the numbers 0 1 2 3 4. But if you are putting this condition that if num is greater than 0, then only it will print. That's why you are getting 10 20 30 40. So I hope you got my point. So now the question is that if you want to print, okay, first you can say first 10 even numbers, then what we should write. Okay, so in that case we will use this thing. If we want to create first 10 even numbers, so then we should write like this. We will start with 2. Okay, and we will start with we will go till 21. Why 21? Because first 10 numbers, it means till 20 we have to go, and then step value will be 2, because after increment of 2 you will get another even numbers, so like 2 comma 4 comma 6, like that. So that's why we are writing this, and we don't need this if structure here, and then we will write like that. So, and what we want to do, we want to simply print those even numbers. Okay, so for num in range 2 comma 21 comma 2, then colon, then we will write print num. So let me run this thing. So you can see 2 4 6 8 10 12 14 16 18 20. Okay, so like that you can use. Now you can write code for we can say first first 10 multiples, or 10 we can do easily, we can do it for 5. Okay, first 5 multiples of 7, first 5 multiples of 7 if you want to print. So what will be the value here in place of 2? Because we want multiples of 7, so we will start with 7, and first 5 means 7 into 5 35, so we will go till 35 or 36. What we should write here as the stop value? Could anyone respond?
Sir, it's I think 7 to 34, and there is a step of 2.
No. Actually, we want to print multiples of 7. So first of all, we need to understand that what we will get in
36, sir, 36.
Okay, good. So if we are talking about multiples of 7, so what are the multiples of 7? First we need to realize actually that multiples of 7 are 7, okay, 14 and 21, 28 and 35. Okay, these are first 5 multiples of 7. So how we can create these numbers, okay, with the help of range function? So what we will start from, we will start with 7, but if you will write here 35, so as we know that this range function will create the numbers, okay, one step back to this value. So if we want to go till 35, so at least we should write 36 and increment. So you can see that increment is also 7. Okay, because after 7 you want to get 14. So what will be the increment? 7. So like that we can write. So let me run this, run module. 7, 14, 28, 38, 21, 28 and 35. So if you are going to write here 35, okay, so that we have to take care whenever we are using range function, that it will stop that list, okay, one step back, okay, one step before, we can say. So if you will use this as 35, then what you will get, let me run this thing. So it will stop at 28 only. Okay, so for that you can use 36, 37, even 40 also you can use, because till 40 it will stop, okay, one step before, so it will go till that point. So for that 40 we will get, okay, but if you will use 35, 34, then it will stop at 28. So I hope you got this point, that how we can use this range function, okay, and simply how we can use this range function with for loop. Okay, so this was the simplest program of using range function with for loop. So range function is a different concept. It is a function to create a sequence of values, but that in general we use with for loop. Okay, now we will come to, as it is 9 o'clock, now we will come to while loop. Okay, so while loop we use when we want to execute a set of statements, okay, until and unless a condition is true. So we want to execute those statements until and unless a particular condition, a particular you can say test expression is true. Whenever it is false, we want to come out of that loop. Okay, so in general then we use this while loop. So we will take an example of while loop. For example, if you want to print first 5 natural numbers using while loop, okay, so then we will use, okay, close all those things, stop, don't save. Okay, so here we will write for while loop. So what we are going to do for while loop, so as in for loop we have initialization number, or that we can start number that we don't have in while loop. So we have to start from somewhere. That's why we will write like this: a is equal to 1 or c is equal to 1. Okay, any variable you can use. Then we will write while. So for which question or which problem we are going to write this program to print first 5 natural numbers using while loop. So that is simplest program we can say, but while loop we have to understand, and its syntax we have to understand. So while is a keyword here. Then we will just, after while, what we will write? We will write that condition. Okay, so we will write this condition that c is less than 6. Okay, why we are writing 6, not c is less than equal to 5? Because c is less than 6 means if you are starting with 1, okay, and you are writing that a is less than 6, so it means you will go till, if you will increment 1 by 1, so it will be 1 2 3 4 5 only. After 5, whenever you will have 6, so that 6 will not be less than 6. Okay, so that's why we can frame our test condition like that. Okay, so this is our test condition. After that we have to put a colon, so that colon is a part of syntax of while loop. Okay, then after that we have to write the lines that we want to associate with while loop. So for next line we have to take some margins, some indentation also you have to keep in mind. So then here we will write whatever we want to execute, like print a we want to execute. So what it will do, a is 1, while a is less than 6, it means it will check that a value of a is less than 6 or not. If it is less than 6, if it is true, then it will print a. Okay, but a is equal to 1, so it will be 1 until unless you are going to increase this one. Okay, so a plus equal to 1. So like that you can write. Otherwise you can write like this: a plus 1. Okay, so I will tell you all about that combined operators also, but for this point you can take it that we are going to increment the value of a by 1. So simply we will write a is equal to a plus 1. That's so simple. So these two statements, because we are writing these two statements with same indentation, okay, after while loop, it means these both statements will be executed, okay, whenever this condition a is less than 6 is true. Whenever this condition is true, you will come into this while loop and these two statements will be executed. Again this condition will be checked, and if it is true then it will be executed. These two statements will be executed. Whenever this condition is false, you will come out of the loop. And if you are going to write anything after that loop, okay, and outside that loop, like if you are writing thank you, okay, if you are writing thank you, so you will come to this print statement of thank you whenever you will come out of the loop, because we are writing this print statement, thank you print statement, okay, with different indentation. Okay, we are not going to write it with the same indentation of this print a and a is equal to a plus 1. So you can see that this indentation for print a and a plus 1 is same. That's why these two statements will come under while loop only. This print thank you statement will not come under while loop. That's so simple. So in Python, if you want to associate some code within some loop or some structure, you have to write it with some indentation. If you are using same indentation, it will come under that structure. Okay, otherwise if you will change that indentation, it will come outside that one. If you want to put some more indentation, it means you are going to use a new structure. Okay, so that we will see later, but here you can easily understand that these two statements will come under while loop. this print thank you will come outside that while loop. And if you will run this thing, so what we are getting actually, we are getting this thing. So we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? We have started a is equal to 1. Then while it will check that a is less than 6 or not. So 1 is less than 6. Of course, 1 is less than 6. Print a, it means print 1. Okay. Then after printing 1, it will come to this line, a is equal to a plus 1, this statement. So a is equal to a plus 1 means now the value of a is 2. So for 2, it will go, a is equal to 2, it will go to this condition now again. Okay, then this condition will be checked that a is less than 6. Now the value of a is 2. So 2 is less than 6. Of course, 2 is less than 6. So print a, it means print 2. Then value of a will be incremented. It means 3, 4, 5. So till 5 it will be okay because 5 is less than 6. So this condition will be true and it will be printed and it will be incremented. After 5 it will become 6 and then 6 is less than 6. Of course not. 6 is not less than 6. It means this condition is false now and you will come outside the loop. It means after 5 nothing will be printed and you will come this print thank you and this thank you will be printed. Okay, that you can check here. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 5 it is printing thank you. It means now you are outside the loop after 5. Okay, so that is the simplest program of while loop that we used. And then few more things that we can discuss in for loop and while loop, like we can go for continuous statements. So continue, what do we mean by continuous statements? Actually, that continuous statement we in general use that if we want to skip, okay, some part of some statements from the loop. For example, if you have 4 lines within a loop, okay, 4 statements within a loop, and for some condition you want to skip one line, then you will put a continuous statement there. If that continuous statement will be executed, then rest of the lines of that loop will be skipped. Okay, it will not be executed, but you will not come out of the loop. Actually, it will go to the beginning of the loop. Okay, so that we will check with the help of one program actually. So for example, if we have, I think it's not clearly visible, so I will write this program. So what we have actually, that we want to print the values from 0 to 6 except 3. So let me write this question clearly. What we want to do actually, we want to print the values print values from 0 to 6, okay, 0 to 6 except 3. It means for 3 only it will not be printed. So what we want to print? 0 we want to print, 1 we want to print, 2 we want to print, 3 we don't want to print, 4 we want to print, 5 we want to print, and 6 also. Okay, so that is the question. So why we are writing it with hash? Because whatever you will write after hash, that will be treated as a comment. Okay, it will not be executed. So in Python, if you want to write something as a comment, then you have to put this hash before that line. So next what we are going to do here, that we will write this code for if we want to print 0 to 6 except 3. So we can use while loop also here or for loop also here. Okay, so we will try to do this with the help of while loop, for example. So a is equal to 0, a is equal to 0, and while a is less than, what we should write, if we want to print till 7, we should write a is less than 7. Okay, because we want to print till 6. So if a is less than 7, then what we have to check first, that this number is 3 or not, because the condition is that exception is about 3 only. So first of all, within that loop, we will check that this is a we can say we want to print this thing, or we can print something like that. First we will print high. So high will be printed for each number, okay, and then it will be checked that if A is equal to 3, then colon we will go, and then we will write continue. Okay, then we will write continue. After that we will write print A and A plus 1. So if A is 3, then this print A and all those things will not be treated, and simply we will print this thing. And in while loop, if you want to do this, then if A is 3, then we will write continue. It means we don't want to print A. And if A is not 3, okay, then we will print this thing. Then we will print this thing, and A is A plus 1 also we will do. Okay, I think some indentation we have to resolve. So we will first try to run this program. If we will get some error, then we will try to resolve that one. So what we are getting actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all these values we are getting here. I think nothing we are getting. So we should, if A is equal to 3, nothing we are getting actually. If A is equal to 3, so we should write like this. Then continue. Otherwise it will print and then it will increment also. And whenever this is 3, then it will be looping again and again. That is the issue actually. So we should write this thing, copy, cut after this line. So we should put in between. Okay, let me check for this one. So now we have like this. Options, run module. Okay. That is the issue. For 3 it will continue, so we have to put